for N99.
We can talk about anything you like, Dan. But anyway, good evening and welcome to another edition of Harbinger. Well, before we go any further, how have you been this week, Daniel?
I'm doing really well. And how are you doing?
Well, we're just, apart from the world events, been a really good week, really busy week as usual. So, man, let's start with, seeing we're a bit late and we've been keeping the people waiting, let's start with the altcoin prices, man. What do you want to go through?
Okay. So today we'll talk about Bitcoin Dash, Ethereum, Ethereum Classic, Bitcoin Plus, and of course, Satoshi Coin. So first up is Bitcoin, which was having a pretty strange week. It crashed down to about $890, and it came down from rather $1,100. So it experienced like $230 drop in just a few days. But as soon as it hit like 800 mark, it just bounced. It went right back to $1,000 where it is right now. And that's like, I don't know, if you were trying to send a Bitcoin transaction, you might have noticed this, but the mempool, if you send a transaction and your fee is not high enough, you get put in the memory pool. And that was congested for the better part of the last 6 weeks. And that's cleared now, and that's what's heating up all the debates. My theory is that there's some manipulation going on, but I don't really have very much data to prove it, but it doesn't matter. They successfully crashed the price of Bitcoin, and if someone was interested to accumulate Bitcoin, the price got really favorable for that person. So it would only make sense to, if you can, crash it and get some more. And a lot of big people missed the boat on Bitcoin. So I really think that, they're eager to catch them for a cheap price. Says Bitcoin. Going forward, I don't think it's going to fork. The Bitcoin Unlimited problem, Tim, I'm sure you're following that. And the Bitcoin Unlimited problem, I wrote an article in this past week regarding that, and I got a chance to talk to several, cryptocurrency experts and get their opinion and see what they think about everything. And people generally don't believe there's going to be a fork, and it would just be crazy if there was. And just look at Ethereum and Ethereum Classic for what's going to happen. You're going to have an altcoin, and it's going to be called the Bitcoin 2. That's exactly what will happen. You'll have Bitcoin, which is the normal Bitcoin that we use every day, and we'll have Bitcoin 2. So, yeah, I think there's not much to worry about with regard to the Bitcoin forking situation, which was that was the title of the article that I wrote. The forking Bitcoin situation.
Just on that, Daniel, I would tend to concur as well, and I think again we said this every week, but I think people need to do their own research, because I think the more research you get into it, you make your own mind clearly. And I think I would be, from the research I've done that's in the last 7 days, I'm more on concurrence with you regarding the fork. I think it's going to be, if it ever happens, a very long time coming.
Yeah, and whatever does happen will have very little effect against you. So
yeah,
that's the main thing. Just don't lose your cool on all this stuff, and just realize that there's short-term fluctuations. Then on that point about forking situations, Ethereum spent the last month going up a lot, and I was pretty interested in it in the beginning, and then the price went up pretty quickly, and then it just kept going. That was the interesting thing, where it literally went up 5 times over this last month, and it's sitting at like $50. And I just think about like who's behind Ethereum, like Peter Thiel sponsoring Vitalik Buterin and stuff through the Thiel Foundation. And then there's a lot of connected people around that. And I think like Peter Thiel, Facebook, and and they just kind of play with money, and Ethereum's just like very easy to manipulate. So why would an Ethereum market cap be 50 billion at some point? So what that mean, what the price will be against Bitcoin, we don't know, but this thing will stick around. That's what I believe. But in relation to Ethereum, there's also Ethereum Classic. So like what we were talking about with the Bitcoin Unlimited problem. So Ethereum Classic came out of it was the ongoing chain that refused to join the new chain, the new software that Ethereum published. And so basically coins doubled. You had coins on Classic chain and you had coins on Ethereum chain. And people dumped them to hell, then pumped them up, and then they've been pretty flat. Just been going down and staying flat. And then recently, about a month and a half ago, there's a man, Barry Silbert, who was starting a company, the Ethereum Classic Investment Trust. It's a company that promotes to American investors to buy Ethereum Classic coins. So on that news, it started to go up. From its lows, it more than doubled. And right now, and then it went up a little bit more than double, and it consolidated back. And it just is kind of an interesting coin, because that guy, Barry Silbert, he was marketing Facebook shares before they went IPO. And their value before IPO went from $2 to $35 in a market before it launched. You see what I mean? So he's kind of a guy who finds good things and promotes them well. So it makes Ethereum Classic kind of interesting. And the way I think about Ethereum Classic relative to Ethereum, it's like when you go to the grocery store and you could have your pick. You could have your pick of noodles, for example. You could buy pasta. And then let's say there's a shortage of eggs, and egg-based pasta is more expensive than the pasta without eggs, So you're going to go along with the flavor of pasta that's made without eggs because it's less expensive. It's the same thing, same product, but instead go with the less expensive one. And Ethereum Classic is the same thing as Ethereum, just less expensive. You see what I mean? So eventually people just start buying the less expensive thing until the prices equalize. And that's pretty normal in markets. So that's the way I see Ethereum Classic. And I think it does have a future, especially if mainstream investors are going to be getting involved in it. Next thing that's super interesting was Dash. The explosion of Dash. And the reason I say explosion of Dash is it went up very significantly and it just dropped about 25%, almost 30% in the last 2.5 days. So yeah, it seems like its bubble is bursting. I mean, it's a coin with a big history of pumping and dumping. So this is just, if you would look at history, this is just full activity of Dash. Dash was also known as Dark Coin before. So, then they rebranded and things took off from there. And then last but not least, I would bring up Satoshi Coin, which had a very interesting week. It went up from 30 Satoshi all the way up to 42 Satoshi. So it had about a almost 40% increase against Bitcoin. And in the last hour, someone sold 14 million coins in one shot. That's almost 1% of the coin. So it's like if people are trying to get some of this coin, that's awesome because, you get cheap coins. Like there's really no point in being in a rush. There's people willing to cash out early. So, and I mean, buying 1% of a whole Coinbase is like an immense amount of coin. So like it's fun to see that, people just liquidate, 1% in one shot. That sounds great, Eventually these coins get spread out and getting 1% will be pretty tough. It's like if people really want to put a position on the future, something with a future, then it's like now's a really incredible time. Like this is like unusual to be able to capture. It's like when Bitcoin used to be able to go on an exchange and buy 2,000 Bitcoins, for $3,000. You know what I mean? And people were trading in thousands of Bitcoins. It's ludicrous today, but that was the norm back then. So right now, it's like a norm to trade millions of Safe Exchange coins. But when things start kicking off, when we start launching software, it's going to be really ridiculous to expect there to be like 4 million coins out there to just pick them up for $1,000. You see what I mean? So, I mean, you have to put it into perspective. If there's 2 billion coins and a million, only 2,000 people can have a million. There can only be 2,000 units of 1 million. So that's like, and someone just sold 14 units of millions. You see what I mean? It's like, it's kind of scarce. So anyways, yeah, so that's Safe Exchange coin consolidating right now off its new local high. That's about it on altcoins. Tim, is there? Oh yeah, there's one more coin that I wanted to bring up, which was amazing. It's called Bitcoin Plus. I think Bitcoin Plus. So this coin just went up like 900% in the last several hours. In the last like 5 hours, it's amazing. It went up 10 times. It's pretty ridiculous. And it's interesting because it's a clone of Bitcoin and it's proof of stake. So you have that coin and you plug it into some software and it produces more coins. And there's a limit of 1 million coins. So like, I don't know, it's listed on Poloniex, so people are just aggressively playing that coin. But I bring it up because it's fascinating to see some coin just go up 10 times in just a few minutes. So yeah, that's a wrap on coin markets. Is there anything you wanted to talk more about, Tim?
Just generally, I mean, I think going back to where we started with the Bitcoin one, and I think, because I said this before, it's starting to get more traction in the outside world. So I've been trying to sort of say to people who aren't kind of down the rabbit hole as maybe some people about, knowing what's going on in the crypto world, just exactly what you just said. And I think it's important to finish this section off by reiterating what you said. Look, it's a ride. It has its ups and downs. But I think the encouraging thing, and this is my reflection on it, is exactly what you said. Its lowest point only got to a certain point and it started to die. I mean, I was reading some of the troll boxes and they were going, "Oh, this is into Bitcoin. It's going to crash to $200. It's going to be dead." And it's like all FUD people. And it just goes back to just always just read as much as you can, prepare. And again, I'll point people towards your article, which we'll put a link in, man, because that was a really good article about the forking as well. So
yeah, like you just got to keep your cool. I mean, you got to think about, in the first place, how did you get into this? And yeah, there's tons and tons and tons of FUD. I mean, unless Bitcoin just is going to fail working, people have an agenda. So, like, never mind, it's...
Yeah, I mean, Daniel, I'll just give you my reflection on this. I mean, I spoke to 2 guests this week on Life is People, and when you have guests that, okay, they're aware of maybe what's going on in the cryptocurrency world, but when you realize that sometimes when you go out into the normal world of how little actual penetration this has in everyday people's lives, even in America, there's a long, long way to go. We're just at the very, very beginning of this whole general what's coming anyway. And I think people sometimes get carried away and think this is it, and it's like no, this is just the beginning. We're on a long path. So it's just a case of always bearing that in mind, because I think at times, as I'm saying, people tend to get carried away, as I said before, as with any new trait, anything else, and what I honestly think, just generally, we've yet to see. as provable. We've yet to see the best of anything. Yeah, we get to see the best of them, the highest. And we discussed this last week. I don't think we've seen the ceiling of any of these coins yet. I think we're just starting to see the basement point. So that's been my general thoughts on it. So
well, like,
go on.
just to put a cap on that point is, people in the troll box, like I was seeing when Dash was going up super high, people are like, yeah, Bitcoin is broken, it's ruined, and Dash is the new Bitcoin. And last time I checked, when I'm going to go make a payment for some servers or to put some money in my bank account to pay some expenses, I'm using Bitcoin. I know I'm not going for Dash. I know I'm not going for Monero, like I'm not using any of those coins. And I mean, it doesn't mean that some people aren't using those coins, but I have a big doubt, like there's a lot of fanfare and, they're not rising silently. They just boom, and it just doesn't make sense. Like a lot of those coins, they're very centralized, like highly centralized coins. So it's hard to trust them. And then you have like all these people telling you Bitcoin is like effed, and it has to be a lie. It has to be just some hoax against the regular people on the exchange. You know what I mean? So there's no point in listening to just the random people you never listened to before. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know who they are. They don't show their face. They don't tell you their name. They have an alias, and they just have an agenda, right? And,
exactly, Daniel. And I think this is the sort of, my final reflection on that would always be is that what anybody says about anything else, this is extremely complex tackling issues that we're building. This isn't, as we talked about so many times, there's no roadmaps for this. And it's every step along the way is a brand new challenge, a brand new complex. When you hear people come out, as you said, and they just go, boom, and we're live. And you think, well, hey, no. Nothing it actually is like that. And that's why I generally am quite cynical and distrusting of anybody who says they've got a thing instantly. I'm like, okay, let's do the progress. Let's see how you're going along. Because, as I say, anyone that promises anything right now in a year's time could be out of date. And we're all in this whole new world together. And I think that's really important to remember, because I think it's both a reflection for people like myself who are building it and like yourself, and to everyone out there, that this is again a long step along the way, and it's a very difficult challenge. If this was easy, we'd have it all done in a month. The fact that we haven't it proves how complex it is, and we're trying to think of ideas that haven't even been thought about yet, and trying to solve problems that have, I would say arguably have been beyond the capability of us as a species up to this point. I know it's quite philosophical, but I just think it's just a general good point to remember that we are in complex areas. That's all.
Yeah, no doubt. We're like using Bitcoin required education. Like the reason why there's a population of people using Bitcoins, and it's been 8 years since it launched. So it didn't just happen like that. People learned a lot. Like even when I first came around in Bitcoin, I didn't know everything about it until maybe the first 4 months did I know a lot more than I started with. I could review some of my first, comments and questions I was asking, and I look back and they're so amateur, and I couldn't believe, like, of course the answer is obvious, but I mean, that's the point. Like, education is the long road to being a customer of something, you know what I mean? And I'm glad that I am, like, for many reasons, that cryptocurrency has changed my life and changed a lot of people's lives who I know and who are around me in ways where they do business with people they never were able to do business with before, and they have their wealth in their private key, and it's in their hands and no one can touch it. And there's a lot of reasons, and that's just a few. And all the time we're bringing up new reasons that justifying cryptocurrency is really the here and now, the future, and you got to learn about it to get into it, really. So, yeah, I think Yeah, I think that's a good start to the week ahead. I mean, just be confident in your bitcoins, right? Just enjoy what you have. Don't give it to the FUD, you know? Don't give a reaction that's irrational.
Exactly, and I mean that is a perfect segue. I mean, talking about complex, difficult things. I mean, give it, safe exchanges. I mean, give us some updates to that because that's a perfect example of something that's very complex, takes a lot of work, and there we go. So give me some updates on the safe exchanges this week, my friend.
Yeah, absolutely. So um, we have a website right now that's live, but the information is not very clear. You know, over the last 6 weeks, 8 weeks since we've been going at this full time, um, you know, I was communicating with a lot of people, and I get a lot of feedback. And based on that feedback, well, feedback and time, you know, to rephrase and to more accurately describe what is Safe Exchange Coin, what is a Chili coin, where are we going with this, who's going to use it, these kinds of things. It So I feel like we finally have it, and the redesign of the website has been taking place all of last week, and that's going to be pushed live in sometime tomorrow. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be tomorrow. Today was a very successful review of the code, and it looks great. So that's really significant because while you know we don't have to be constantly talking about Safe Exchange Coin, like myself, like I can't be the only one who's explaining to people what is Safe Exchange Coin. So it's important that we have some repository like the website that concretely explains from top to bottom what is Safe Exchange Coin. So this way, I don't have to, I've been mostly verbally communicating what is Safe Exchange Coin. And that takes a lot of energy, a lot of time. And but it's a necessary usage of time and energy because now the description of the coin for the world is very clear and it's understood. So that will be put up very soon. Soon meaning within the next 48 hours, 36 hours. And so I'm really glad for that because I can now just all the links will be there related to our community, to where more information can be found, to the video of Safe Exchange Coin, to the roadmap. It's all in one place, all in one landing page. It's to buy Safe Exchange Coin if you wanted to without an account at the exchange. It's all in one place, and there's videos to explain you how to use the website and about Safe Exchange Coin. So it's very, very streamlined. And it's a very big relief to me because that's what's going to be there for the next 4 months while we're getting Chili out and developing. It's a big relief from my perspective. And actually getting that site completed, it was just fantastic to see what Pavle came up with. Pavle, our front-end developer. So I'm very satisfied, and I hope everybody will be as well. Furthermore, the peer-to-peer network is progressing fantastically. Was it last night? It was something like last night. I slept just like 2.5 hours, but so I don't remember which, was it last night or yesterday? But peer-to-peer network, so I've successfully connected a few computers and they are passing messages between each other. I'm implementing few more messages that are fundamental and required, but it's very exciting for me. It's very fun to be developing this, and it's all in Rust. And that's amazing because Rust is a super fast language that's very safe, and it optimizes fantastically. So no matter what condition that we launch now in, so long as it works, we'll always be able to improve the source code into the future as we get more resources, as we reiterate over the code. In software development, you always optimize after. You write it, make it work, and then optimize after. that's the way you do it. And so that's the amazing thing. What we launch is going to work and is going to be correct. And then we optimize, and maybe we can improve our situation being block time creation. Initially, we target 30 seconds, but using Rust means we are lower to the computer level than most other languages. And because of the way that Rust is designed, it requires you to think in a more efficient way for writing computer software, which means that we can optimize our blockchain beyond what any privacy offering blockchains are offering today, which is really awesome. And I think it's really important for the Chile marketplace, because when people are buying and selling goods, they don't want to have to wait more than 30 seconds to get the product cleared. You see what I mean? That's really good. I also had a very very great meeting with a backend developer for web technologies, and he's also a system programmer. And we're just now communicating about whether we will have a collaboration. That's among a couple other interviews that are scheduled this week. But it's really exciting to meet very smart people who are very keen to get involved in cryptocurrency, and especially with our project. It really fascinates people, and it's a great pleasure for them to get a lot of experience from me. So, because I can transmit a lot of information very quickly, better than you can just Googling around and stuff like that. You see what I mean? So, another thing I wanted to mention about is concerns about Omni. So, this is the answer for any situation you might think about the Bitcoin fork relative to Safe Exchange coins. You should not be concerned about Safe Exchange coins and the Bitcoin fork. Why? Because the core developers of Omni are standing by at the ready. They have a $45 million market. $45 million equals what? $45 million. Not just fluff. It's literally 45 million bucks invested in stored. The value is stored in Omni tokens. So rest assured that if anything is happening with Bitcoin, it's being taken care of and thought about very thoroughly. And we face, in my opinion, very no risk to the forking situation. I think the only risk that exists is the potential for people to scam people with the forked version of the blockchain, right? But there's no risk to people who are in the know right now. And this has happened to people using MateSafe coins in the past, where someone made some fake MateSafe coins and was selling them, and some people bought them. It's just a matter of going to the source of the information. Always do your research, Tim, exactly like you were saying. It's just always look 3, 4, 5 times, then invest your money. I mean, don't just read it once, get hot, and jump in and get it all and no. This is not the right way. And if people were going to do that, by and large, cryptocurrency would not survive. It's about the education, people getting smart. Like Mt. Gox, a lot of people got robbed in Mt. Gox, and then people learn their lesson, and then they never leave too much coins on the exchange. And I think that's a final point. Since I wrote an article a couple weeks ago, there were 580 million Safe Exchange coins on the exchange. Now there's about 490 million. So, the point got across to some people, but it's really concerning that people are willing to leave so many coins on the exchange. For what purpose? It's like, if you want to sell them, you deposit them, when you want to sell them. Why would you risk losing everything? And it could happen at an unpredictable anytime moment. So just bringing up that point one more time, it's just never mind, do what you want to do, but it's just like a personal thing that a personal recommendation is like, I don't keep any coins on the exchange.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like everything's on paper wallets. Like it's just never mind. Like that's it. That's it from Seychelles World. Like as usual, I'm in touch on the forum, and tomorrow would be the official development update with hopefully the website like we talked about today.
Well, that sounds loads. There's just absolute so much to go on. I mean, let me just sort of take this back a week again. We kind of saw a glimpse last week, but congratulations on your video, man. I mean, it was kind of a bit, hard to sort of see it on the Google Hangouts, but seeing it in full, YouTube glory, it was a great, very clear, concise, overview of what you're doing. And yeah, so all sort of steams ahead, Daniel. And I think one of the things I think really synergizes what you said then, and it really hit a nail. That's kind of maybe a bit of a theme of this conversation. Really was the idea. When you were talking about how things can be progress in the future. Now, it's been the main focuses, and behind what I'm doing with N99 Dude is to get everything, the back end, and everything complete. So in the future, it moves on. It's not breaking, going back. This is a personal frustration I know for myself, being the creative person. The people who I know, particularly who I've known for many years, who who build and build programs and stuff. It's their greatest frustrations that people just rush ahead and they don't actually do all the background work properly. And I say this in context with this week, really, kind of where I've been with N99, really, because a lot of my processes. I mean, I've had a kind of in one way, a eureka moment, and it's been something that's been, one of those niggly issues in my head about the whole situation, about how to, spread seeds around. And that's been in my head for about a year, and that's had a eureka moment. But equally, it goes back to it's a complex week. So I spent a lot this week doing a couple of things. I'm not, to be fair, I don't want to speak about on a public show, but that's to do with ranking and status and stuff inside the program. Now, I have got a quick presentation, and again, I want to leave this up because maybe in the next week or next show, I want to bring in the person who's been doing my whole of my back end. Dawn's going to come on and do. She gave you a very good explanation from someone who knows as far that technical side of it than where I can eruditely sort of explain. But what I'm going to do now, I'll maybe give you just a quick glimpse of really what's going to come for next week, which is just a general overview. So I'm just going to set this up, my friend. Just give me 2 seconds. And while I'm setting this up, this is, like I say, this is just a general, how can we say, an explanation really of how seeds are going to work within the N99 platform. So I will start sharing. Just give me a second. All right. Perfect. Can you see my screen, my friend?
I see your screen.
Excellent. Right. So.
Just, yeah, I see your screen.
Right. So, like I say, this is all going to be very much explained next week. But so this is just a general how the flow of the seed will go through from the user to the seed engine to the cockpit at the final end. So obviously you start off with a seed. It goes into the seed engine, through the seed engine into the cockpit. All very simple.
Could you maybe move your mouse? Like, can you go through this diagram and maybe like, can we see your mouse? I don't know.
Can you see my mouse now, my friend?
No, I don't see it.
That's strange. Okay, I don't understand why you're not seeing my mouse.
So where do we start? Top left, bottom left? Oh yeah, I see your mouse now. Yeah, good. Okay, so can you walk us through this? Like, what are we looking at here? Interacting with content, right?
Yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'll give you the quick slideshow, then we can go through then we can go through it all one by one. So I'll walk you through the slideshow. So you upload your content.
Well, I'm not sure if this is showing up on the live stream.
Okay.
Because I'm watching it on my other monitor, and I don't
Okay,
see.
cool. All right. So what you can see my screen now, though, can you?
I can see your screen, but is it on the live?
It should be up to everybody. Let's have a look. Give me a sec.
I mean, literally, I'm watching on the other screen and it's not showing it.
Should be showing now, no? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. You're good. Yeah.
Here we go. Perfect.
Awesome.
So, excellent. So if I go through the slideshow, can you see the screen now, my friend?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah. Yeah. See everything.
So a user's going to come onto N99. They're going to register a cockpit. They will get a seed. The seed will go into a seed engine, and then we'll go into the cockpit.
Wait. You're on slide 4, right? You're on this 4. Interact with content. See that right in the middle. Okay. Okay. Now I see the cockpit. Okay.
Yep. So you put a seed into the cockpit, out of the cockpit into the seed engine. Seed engine recognizes that one seed has been spent. Stream content. So now we're talking about how to stream. So again, start with the users, put some seeds into the seed engine, Centiseed, which is only a micro payment. Again, interact with content. The same again. User puts something up. Dislike. So for instance, a dislike will be 0.1 of a seed or a Centiseed.
Yeah.
A comment will be 2 Centiseeds, etc., etc. All this is going to be explained much more next week.
Yeah, so I get it. You basically paying seeds to interact with content and to put content.
Exactly. Basically, what it is, Daniel, in an overview, and again, all this will be explained next week. But basically, it's seeds will be ranking you up leaderboards. Now we can. That's what I'm saying, and this is where I was trying to explain to this, and this is once you get ranked up a leaderboard, you get certain rankings. So those rankings will then hit a levy, which would give you other seeds and stuff like this. So again, well, I'm going to give a very long explanation. This is going to be part of a big presentation video, and I think I want to do this kind of justice. So I just wanted to give people an overview, just to know that just generally, I think really the news back this week it's been really complex. We've had a couple of eureka moments, but we're inch by inch crawling there. And next week, I think we're going to. It's going to be the first opportunity to the world to really to show, as you were saying earlier on, my friend, is when you've got something in your idea in your head, to clarify it in a visual is a very good, concise way. So that's more for next week. So again, that's kind of been with that. So I want to maybe we should just kind of overgo tonight's discussion point, because I think that's maybe we should do a whole discussion, showing that in itself about decryption and WhatsApp. But just generally to give my thoughts on this, because it is something I've been asked about, relevant this week with decentralization and what's going on. And I think maybe I'll just start with the question, just briefly, Daniel, just give me your thoughts about this. I mean, people are going to be hearing a lot over the next few weeks and have over here about how, the government, the state can have a backdoor into encryption. Now, from someone who's been into the coding, is it possible? And if it is possible, my question to you, I've had this related to me so much this week, saying, well, if it's possible for the government to do it or a state to do it, wouldn't it just be possible for everybody to open that backdoor key?
Yeah, there was this controversy in the United States where the couple agencies asked for like Apple to design a key that unlocks every iPhone, and they said, we promise we won't leak it, and that's where things get problematic. Vault 7, the latest WikiLeaks disclosures, eliminated the entire arsenal of CIA hacking tools. And it's like how did that get into the WikiLeaks hands? It's like, because they're sharing all this information all the time. It's like, if you gave the agency a backdoor, they're going to use that as a bargaining chip to get someone else's backdoor. It's like China got a backdoor, USA got a backdoor. Maybe there's some trade deal saying, okay, we know you got a backdoor. We know you want our back door. We want your back door. You know, somebody has a deal. Someone has an agenda. I mean, intelligence is a market. You know, it's a market of information. Is a marketplace. I mean, people pay for information, and so there's people striking deals on backdoors to whatever. You know, and it's, you know, people want that. It's valuable. You know, software is property, and backdoors are property. So, like, there's a price tag for everything in this digital landscape. So, that being said, I mean, it's absurd. I mean, they did it before, and it just puts everybody at risk anyway. And yeah, I think you fund more terrorism by providing vulnerabilities to people, and those terrorists stealing credit cards, you know, and robbing bitcoins or whatever. You see what I mean? Like, the more you make the citizens vulnerable, the more you fund everything that you don't want. So it's like, I don't know. People want to be proactive. It's understandable, but it's just not the right way.
No, I would agree with Daniel. That's what I'm saying. I think it's a far larger discussion, but I said this before, and I speak maybe from a creative, artistic point of view, and the musicians, and I know that point of view, but 100% people, when you're being creative, you need to know that you can speak to someone in absolute privacy. And this is what I've always said. I've always flown the flag for it, and I think it's why it's absolutely crucial that platforms like the Safe Exchange get built, because we need that privacy. And if it erodes, then all creativity goes. And I said this before, and I think I don't want to live in a world where there's no creativity, no music, and that will happen if you don't get people who are in the arts getting to share stuff and creativity in private. And I just think it's beyond that. And I know this is what I'm saying, even beyond the whole, to me, root element. What right has anybody got to know what anybody else is doing in their own private life, man? And that's just, to me, it's a principle of all my life. Where, you know, what has given anybody the right to know what everyone else is doing in their private life? To me, I don't even know how I can justify, but that's a more deeper philosophical question.
Yeah, sure. So I think we'll queue up a track.
Yep, I was going to say this week's track we're going to finish with is well, they're a band based out well, they're originally from New Mexico, but they're on the tour around America. So again, I'll give links, but you can go and find them on Twitter, etc. Just put in the Glee Wood. That's GLE Wood, and you'll find them. And the track I'm going to play is called the Fall Behind, and I think it's just appropriate, really, because this is only, you know, it's been a recently new album, but with the time of the year we are over here, and I know we're just coming out of fall, winter into spring, so I thought it's quite an appropriate song, and it's a really good song, and I think it sort of covers a lot of what we've been speaking about tonight. So while I'm queuing this up, Daniel, as usual, maybe you want to give you sort of your final thoughts of tonight. And as ever, thank you very much for your time tonight, Daniel.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just want to say it's nice to see the weather change. It's nice to see the sun shining, and it's great to go out and run around and just really enjoy, you know, life and experience the warm air. So it just, despite all the crypto and computer world, that's its own world, and we got to remember the human element of everything.
I am falling down and I'm floating away from the only place that I ever found. Got the feeling that I ain't far from the ground. Well, the season came when I was blossoming, when that wind blew like hell before a drop of water ever fell. Never knew the story my life would tell. One day the rain finally came, the night before some family met their fate, and I learned to appreciate any water that came my way, for I knew at the time of all youth had slipped away. And as these seasons change across this mountain's landscape, it's time to weather in the sun, it's time to take refuge in the shade. But my son, do not be afraid to turn the page. That window, boy, and tell me what you see. How them golden leaves have replaced the green on them trees, so to reflect the time of you and me. And as time takes its toll upon the young and the old, in the heat of the July sun, you will learn to appreciate the cold, and the blanket that kept you warm will one day unfold. And when that day comes, when you're better for what you become, do not be afraid or run, for there ain't nothing new under the sun. And mistakes only refine what you will become. I'm falling down and I'm floating away from the only place that I ever found. Got the feeling that I ain't far from the ground. Ain't it funny how I do not feel the ground?